We're taking a break from tariffs for just a moment, turning our attention to the Democratic Republic of Congo, where fighting has killed hundreds of people and forced 500,000 people from their homes.
It's going from desperate to disastrous. And, yes, it's a new phase in this crisis and people have lived through this before, but they are just telling us we can't take it anymore. We're running out of food. We're running out of supplies. We don't know if it's safe to go.
So over the last week, the M23 rebel group, or the March 23rd movement rebel group, captured the control of the mineral-rich city of Goma and surrounding regions. More than 500,000 people have been displaced. The hospitals in the region are overwhelmed. They have supply shortages. Congo alleges Rwanda is backing rebel forces to gain control of the country's natural resources. Rwanda is denying that. For a closer look at the conflict, I am joined this morning by Oge Arubagu. She is the director of the Africa program at the Wilson Center. She's joining us from Washington. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning.
Can you set up for us what is the M23 rebel group looking for and in seizing Goma and the surrounding regions?
Well, thank you again for having me this morning. And as you mentioned, the M23 is a militant group that is operating in Eastern DRC. It is primarily a Tutsi rebel group, and it dates its origins all the way back to the days of the Rwandan genocide. Apart from the M23 in the region, there are over 100 other non-state armed groups that are fighting in this region in Eastern Congo, all fighting for power and control over the region's vast natural resources. As you had mentioned at the top, there are a lot of mineral deposits in the Eastern DRC region, some of them that are very vital in all these global conversations around transition from fossil fuels to renewable energy.
How is this playing out on the ground for civilians? We heard a little bit from an aid worker off the top, but 500,000 people displaced. What does everyday life look like? What are they going through?
I think, as you rightfully mentioned, this is not the first time that we've seen this conflict in the DRC. We've seen episodes of this occurring over and over. And I think at the end of the day, unfortunately, citizens become collateral damage in this tussle between leaders for power and control. So some numbers that we saw last week, and let's not forget that until the crisis in Sudan, the DRC, this region in the Eastern Congo, actually hosted the largest number of internally displaced people on the face of this planet. Wow. And as this fighting began in January, we saw numbers of close to 500,000 people being displaced. And I think we have to keep this in mind, that these are people that have been displaced over and over again. It's something that we definitely have to keep in mind. Apart from this significant number of people being displaced, we've also saw numbers of lives being lost. We've seen a disruption in infrastructure and social services. So at the end of the day, civilians are collateral damage here and are feeling the pain of this. So it's important that this fighting needs to stop to enable citizens get back to some semblance of everyday life.
We are sharing with our viewers some of the pictures of the displacement camps where people are literally camping out, but as an aid worker has pointed out, with barely any access to food or water. Rwanda denies backing the rebel forces, despite the United Nations claiming that they have proof that this is happening. What evidence is there to suggest that Rwanda is connected to supporting these groups?
I think, as you've pointed out, the Rwandan government and Paul Kagame himself has come out clearly to say that the Rwandan government is not backing the M23. However, as you have also noted, there are UN reports that basically show that the M23 is getting significant support from the Rwandan army. Another thing, too, as well, that analysts have pointed to is just the illicit mineral trade in the Eastern DRC that is funded defending the work of the M23. And some are saying that we're seeing mineral exports from Rwanda that are actually higher than what Rwanda produces. So maybe there is a tie there. While there is no evidence, and there really isn't no way of tracking this, because Rwanda isn't part of any international transparency institutions or organizations, so we can't necessarily track what minerals are coming from Rwanda or what minerals are coming from the DRC. But analysts are saying that they are seeing significant higher numbers of exports in minerals from Rwanda compared to what Rwanda actually produces.
Oge Anubagu, Director of the Africa Program at the Wilson Center. It's great to have you on this morning to give us an update of what is happening and to be reminded of what it is like for 500,000 people who are right now living displaced in that region because of the conflict. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
If you liked that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.